Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again. It's your favorite time of the week. It is Keepin' It Rio time, and this is the 241st time you've tuned into Keepin' It Rio, because I know everybody that's watching watches every episode, probably multiple times, so thank you guys for that right out of the gate. But episode 241 is going to be absolute fire, because I got a guest today that I've been wanting to talk with for quite some time. And we actually are just meeting right here, which is the craziest thing to me. But it is an absolute honor to bring on my friend, even though we just met. I think we've been friends for many, many years. And one of the legendary figures in the roofing world, one of the guys that you look for help when you get yourself into a bind, because he's always got the answer. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to welcome our friend Cam Wade to the show. Cam,
hey,
welcome to Keeping It Real, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome. This is just a blessing. And man, it's the day after Thanksgiving. So, I couldn't be happier, bud. Thank you.
Absolutely, my friend. It is the day after Thanksgiving. Still feeling a little bit festive. We've gotten, a pretty great amount of stuff done this week, but today has been more of a kick back and relax kind of move. I've been just, having fun. I didn't put anything that had my company logo on today at all, which is probably the first time since maybe last Thanksgiving. But it's been good. So tell me a little bit about what you got going on here for the holiday season. How's everything going right now with you? And then we're going to go way back into the time machine and start at like baby Cam and how he got into this deal. So how's everything going in current times?
Everything's great. I just got in having some fantastic meals over at a really old friend of mine. In fact, I live in Tulsa, Oklahoma, but I was born and raised in Arlington, Texas. But I've lived here roughly about 16 and a half, 17 years. So we got to have Thanksgiving yesterday with my first friends and their family that I met out here, all by myself. So it was a really cool treat. So just nothing but blessings and great time. I literally ate probably 8 pounds of food. So I'm still recovering from that.
Hey, no worries. That's what the food's for. If you don't eat it, it goes to waste. So I was taught as a kid not to let food go to waste. That's why I got pretty fat for a while there, but I can appreciate it. And you know what? If we only do it once or twice a year, Thanksgiving is probably one of those days where it's acceptable to eat 8 pounds of food and not be judged. So no judgment zone over here. We're not at Planet Fitness. We're Keeping It Rio, but I may have consumed a similar amount calorie/poundage wise. So,
and are you in San Antonio?
I'm in San Antonio, Texas,
Dude,
baby, Alamo City, and it's fun.
I don't see how you're not 300 pounds. If I lived in San Antonio, which that place has a special place in my heart, I would be so fat because
here's the story, man. About 5 years ago, I did weigh 300 pounds almost.
Really?
And it was because I moved down here. I didn't know anybody. I reopened a roofing company that had gone under. Mm-hmm. Never been to San Antonio a day in my life until the day I got here to do this entire ordeal. And it was crazy. But for about the first year, I didn't really make any friends. I had a couple people that worked with me, but socially, I didn't really do much. I had no friends, family, network, or anything in San Antonio. So I ate a lot, and I got pretty damn big. And about 5 years ago, I was looking at a picture of myself. I was going to speak at an event over in Tyler, Texas. And I saw this giant basketball looking face. It looked like my boy Brutus back there, all round and circular and not chiseled like I was hoping to be. And I didn't even recognize myself in the pic. So I made a commitment about 5 years ago to get myself in shape and not mess with it. But the reason I don't have abs and the reason I still have a little bit of that midsection going, it's because I live in San Antonio. And you're spot on. We've got the best food in the world. Your friend Jason Quimby and I did a food review episode of Keeping It Rio probably, I don't know, a year and a half or 2 years ago. And we determined that San Antonio has the best Mexican food in the world. So
no doubt.
There you go, my man.
I believe that, the other place that I wouldn't say rivals it, but it has its own unique flavor is the Tucson, Arizona area. That place is something special. So
yeah, if you're in Tucson, you're having a good day, no matter what. Unless you're in jail,
Yeah,
And even
there's
that's
definitely
probably pretty cool.
yeah, there's definitely some nastiness you can get into down there, but it's gorgeous. And yeah, the food itself, it's a, I believe it's a Sonoran Mexican, as they call it,
Oh
which is,
yeah.
oh, it's so good. You can't find a shitty restaurant. They're fantastic. But my favorite in San Antonio, I grew up going to since I was a kid, is Mi Tierras right there on the
Oh
Riverwalk.
yeah.
And my favorite meal ever is carne guisada, not asada, but the guisada. And it's
Gotta have the ghee to
yeah,
make it
it's the
official.
it is. It's the beef or pork, cubed tips that you stew in the really cumin heavy sauce for 8+ hours, and oh, dude, it's to die for,
I'm probably
literally.
going to meet Tierra after this interview now. I live like
Do
10
it.
minutes
Send
away
me a
from it.
taco,
So
bro,
probably be on my
overnight.
way. It's open 24/7. So
Yeah,
no
the
worries,
bakery.
everybody.
The bakeries, the empanadas, they're awesome, dude. I need to come see you because I still have family down there. I love that place.
Well, there you go, man. You need to come hang out. We'll go do something fun. We'll go to Mi Tierra, hang out in San Antonio, and have a good time. Until that happens, let's talk, my friend. We're on Keeping It Rio here. It's a talk show. I want to learn more about Cam Wade and what he's got going on and how he got to this point in life. I think everybody's got a cool story, and I love hearing them. So let's go back in the time machine, my friend. I know you've
All
been
right.
in this industry for over 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
which congratulations. I don't know how the hell we've done it, but here we are. And we both seem to still be relatively sane. So tell me a little bit about the old days, about getting started. How in the world did you find yourself 20 plus years ago wandering into the roofing industry? Was it something you'd planned?
No, definitely wasn't anything I planned, and it really starts back from, my father. He had his own company for a while in the 80s and 90s. He had a company that was called Miracle Maintenance in Arlington, Texas. And he was an HVAC, certified HVAC specialist. And we did interior, I say we at that time, uh, interior, exterior remodels, and of course, roofs throughout the year. Those were my first jobs, carrying shingles up and down the ladder. Graduated to being the nail carrying kid that, when you got that free Home Depot apron,
Oh, yeah.
I would stand there because back then they still hand nailed them. And, I'd be the kid handing nails as the other guys sliding shingles. And then I graduated to get into, drive nails. But that's, where it started. And my dad as well was a maintenance supervisor for a multifamily management firm, Tipton Group. They're out of Texas. I'm sure they've been bought by PE since then. But so his job was to go to all the shitty complexes in the ghetto that were dilapidated. They wanted to sell. They needed to get back up and going. That's, stripping it of the people that worked there, the maintenance team, and getting everything from HVAC system, head to toe, up and down, running squared away so that they could, sell these puppies and offload them. And so we were, I went to 15 different schools because of this fact that, they would put them in the crappy one until it was built back up, and then we'd move. And so you can imagine I went to quite a few crummy schools, but I went to some great ones too. But always being the new kid and having to move, getting in trouble, and then them realizing, oh shit, you're not even in our school district anymore. Get the hell out of here. So a lot of times I get in trouble, sometimes on purpose, just so I could get kicked out to, get picked up by my dad, get my butt whooped, and drive to the complex and get to hang out in the shop with my dad all day. And he'd even give me lists of make ready lists, to where he's like, hey, you're here, you're working. And I would be young, 8, 10, all the way up. And, it'd be jobs from replacing door handles to respray painting the fireplaces black. And then, getting to be on the roofs with him, doing repairs, watching him manage, these re-roofs and stuff. So it's been part of my blood and my life. And then, as I got older and of course did different things from, being in the Army to just about every other type of sales you can think of, and construct, welding. I got into welding myself for some years, 3 years or so, but construction and sales has always been a leading, I guess gift of mine, or just interest of mine, and being able to kind of do both, get my hands dirty, and then do the other side as well. So that's really where it started. And then I got a job with my friends, two lifelong buddies of mine. They own Correct General Contracting in Arlington, Texas. They're still around. It's Correct with a K. And they do they got me into the insurance storm restoration side of things. We worked our first tornado down in Granbury, Texas, some years ago, and that's really how I got started on the insurance restoration side. Those guys are still fantastic friends of mine. They've never done me wrong. They're one of the few.
I'm gonna say that's rare in this industry, right? To have friends that you've known for more than a week that haven't screwed you over at least once.
Yeah, and then in this industry, and to still be great leaders in it, you don't hear much about them because they're just the type of guys that they just do the deal. They don't get into the exos. They don't get into any of the hubbub. They do a lot of foundation repair, a lot of roofs, a lot of property management firms they work with, which I learned a lot from my buddy Reagan Parsons about those relationships and how important they are, and it's what helped me grow and elevate myself within the industry on many levels. So I've worked for so many different roofing companies as a sales guy, project manager, even started my own company there for a hot minute. But yeah, this is my life. This is not just a job. I truly love it. I tried getting out of it, and I took a full year off, got into reputation management through review collection, that type of stuff, marketing. And but I just couldn't. I just felt funky. I learned a lot, but it was just, man, this is why would I waste so much knowledge and gone through so many no's to get to where I am? So I jumped back in, and I've never looked back, and I love it.
I think that's the way it is, man. I tried to get out of the roofing industry probably 100 different times, and once or twice I thought I'd made it, but then you find yourself right back in it. Yeah. And I always tell people, you know what? I'm so thankful for that. When I got into this industry back in 1998, I had no plan that Friday that I was going to be in the roofing world. It had never crossed my mind, not once. And I pulled in for a job because they were hiring a CDL driver. Here we are almost 28 years later, and we're still doing it. And I like the variables that we've been able to encounter along the way as well. You've had a unique journey, and I think mine's kind of been unique too. I started off as a delivery driver. I used to roof load houses for over a decade. I drove the big truck with the conveyor on it. We'd throw the shingles on, and the guys would do that. I was able to get an opportunity from there to go to North Carolina and open a branch of the supply house. Saw how that stuff worked from the inside, really understood what it took to be a successful contractor, but also how to get yourself in a lot of trouble quick. So we've got something cool to talk about here with insurance restoration. And I know you're an expert, so I always love when I get experts on the show and we can talk about things that I've got passion about, and I know you do as well, because here we are. So yeah. As we've done this over the last 20 plus years, like I said, I've been in contracting since 2012, 13 years now going on. I was a sales rep for a couple years, got this opportunity with Rio Blanco in 2019, and it's been that ever since. But over the course of the years, we've seen a lot of different shifts in our industry, right? And it looks like we're getting ready to go through another one. And I'm actually super thankful to have you on the show today, the day after Thanksgiving, because I'm going to get some serious insights here. But things are starting to change, as they always do. 10, 15 years ago, you meet the insurance adjuster. You might even have your stuff ready. You just hand it to them. Oh, hey, Cam, how's it going, buddy? Great, man. How's the family or whatever? They take care of you. Everything is good to go. You start going. Well, obviously, we're in a different world now. And I don't know what got us to this point. I think all parties probably have equal parts of involvement to get us to where we are. But now it looks like we're making a shift. And I think this shift is prominently going to start really happening over the next 18 months or so. But what do you think about the way that the insurance process has changed? Some of the things that we're seeing that are going to start changing that we don't even maybe know about yet. And then I'll give you a couple more things after that. But what's your take on how things are going? You're in there with the big dogs, handling big major claims and such. What's it looking like on your end as far as what the future holds for that?
Well, man, that's a loaded question, and I'll do my best to answer it. And luckily I have and always have had such much smarter people that I've surrounded myself with, that I work with, and I've learned so much from, and I continue to, because if you mentioned, things are changing rapidly. There's a lot of things that are involved here. I believe a lot that are completely out of our hands, just but maybe I'm a little pessimistic because you get, beat down by some of the things you see.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Just like
We've been
I
taught
don't,
to be pessimistic.
I don't trust the FDA, so, and there's, but we are seeing some good changes, right? With getting the red dyes and the stuff that are harmful to us, that they've known about it. Why is it just now, becoming something that we are actually seeing some positive changes? It's when I look at the insurance carrier, I look at them, yes, as, the black cloud, but they're unfortunately a necessary evil. I do believe, like you said, that where we've gotten in this environment, it's all hands on deck that have done it, to where it's so hard to get something that should be very easy, black and white, approved or not. Where in a day, just like you alluded to earlier, I learned so much from the adjusters of old, the company adjusters, whether it was State Farm, Allstate, didn't matter who I was on the roof with. We went through the talking of just like getting the old buddy stuff, and just trying to fill that person out, and just realizing, hey, if we had a good data loss and there was actual damage there, and it fell within the carrier's manual, whether it was this, the 5 hits, the 6 hits, whatever it is that it's grown to be, you would see some good resolution, maybe a supplement here and there for the unforeseen things you couldn't see through your inspection. And again, I learned a lot. I could talk to those guys and say, like, well, what do you, Mr. Guy that's been here doing it for 15 years, which you don't see those guys anymore. The 10, 15, 20 year, those guys are gone. Either they did it on purpose, they pushed them out through those people's moral compasses saying, hey, I'm a professional. And they noticed, and I talk to those EGAs still, the engineers, that I get the calls that they want to jump on my side and like, hey, are you guys hiring? Because they've seen the big shift and they feel nasty about it because they don't have any control. These guys that like to beat up the guy on the ground verbally or whatever it is, like, guys, for one, they don't have the writing power they had back then, as well as, again, back to all hands on deck that screwed the pooch to where we got us here. And I see it every day. And that's why I'm a huge advocate for, hey, education, do your damn job, know your craft, and go get it. There's so much education out there now in our space that, yeah, if you have to pay for it or it's free on YouTube or on Facebook, there's so much good shit. But there's so much laziness. There's so many that the guys realize, damn, my MBA's not doing a damn thing for me, but I can go sell roofs and make 100, 150, 200, 300 grand, and above. And it, completely true if you put in the time, the work ethic, but there's a ton of guys that are just closers, as they like to call themselves, which is so neat. I'm a closer. I love the process of selling. I love the process of knowing people and reading them and finding the needs and all of that. I appreciate the entire process, but what I can't stand is the guys that just go sign and run. They don't take no photos. They don't get in the attic. Very terrible photos. They don't know when the data loss is, when any idea of what's within the policy, or even asking for the policy to, I get it. You're not supposed to interpret policy and you're supposed to be afraid to look at it. That's what they want. But no one said you have to be stupid and ignorant. The knowledge is out there. Read them so much. Read those engineer reports. Talk to other people. Everything I have inside of me is nothing's original. I've begged, borrowed, and stolen it from other folks, smarter people than me. And I take, what works. And we have to continue to do that because it's going to change. The enemy's always watching. And, we may think, oh, the enemy's stupid or whatever. We'd like to think we know more than, but they're watching us, and they're, and how very idiotic some of the things that people will post about their tactics and how they they've marketed, down to the contracts, and as far as the changes that I'm seeing that are really helping move the money faster, get people indemnified, put back together again, is guys knowing their numbers, being able to provide an estimate that they can stand behind regardless if this is an insurance deal. That's great. With the contingent agreements that everyone's got out there that don't hold up in court, the carriers know that. They drag their heels on purpose. They use all their statutes of limitation, all those times between communication. There's so much out there that most of your average sales guy out there doesn't know because they don't want to dig deeper and understand. They're playing you like a fool. You haven't even gotten your client hasn't even gotten a sworn proof of loss yet. Contractor's like, well, what the hell is that? Like, exactly. There's so much to know. You just jumping in head first because you're chasing the chains and the gold teeth, whatever it is that gets you going, whatever motivates you. But this is something that needs to be taken a lot of care of because it's been destroyed. It has been the golden goose that we've robbed, throughout the years. So I take it to heart, man. And I know I've still got a lot to grow and learn from. And that's what I always want to do is be useful to other people, empower folks to where they don't even have to utilize our firm unless they really need to. Because not every claim is a claim that needs to go to an attorney or to appraisal or anything. A lot of these that I'm seeing that pisses me off so much is people not understanding or just doing the work, and they're trying to fight these carriers without the ammunition. They have zero ammunition. They're just shooting in the dark, and it's taking months, and then that's when they decide they need help. And a lot of times, especially when you're talking about when a carrier requests for a sworn proof of loss and that email goes ignored, or it goes, it's the policyholder don't know what the hell that means. So I think it's very important for a contractor to get educated right now, more importantly than ever, to understand what that even means, what a sworn proof of loss is, and really how much in the weeds they really are being behind the gun. So yeah, man, knowledge is paramount. And I think that's going to be the shift, is trying to play, as nicely as possible. This doesn't have to be, even though it feels like David versus Goliath out there, if we're doing our job on the front end, preloading that claim on the front end, you will see the money move faster. And knowing, hey, at what point, understanding when you need help, when it's time, instead of dragging your heels on it as well. That's so important, and having the right people in your circle, just like your friends, just like your team out there, whether it is PAs, attorneys, appraisers, they're all necessary in this space, and you better know which ones are good ones, and also know how to set those expectations realistically. Yeah, there's a lot to it. That.
And, I mean, education, that's the most basic concept, I think. Our industry is known for basically, taking some guy that they meet somewhere and say, hey, bro, you can make $100,000. Come with me. Giving him some blank contracts, pushing him out into a neighborhood and saying, go get it. And sure, there's been some colossal screw ups over the course of time with that model. But as we continue to evolve and things continue to change, and coverages are different and policies are different and deductibles are different and all that stuff, I think that now is the absolute worst time for these guys to be sending people out there without that experience. And I think that training is imperative. And I've gone on record many times as saying this: if you have less than 5 years of experience, you might want to get someone that understands what they're doing before you jump off, because one of the key things I've been seeing a lot is cash flow. Cash flow is an issue, Cam. Yeah. I got my final payment today, or not today, but Monday this week, from a client of a roof that I did 5.5 months ago. Wow. I've been waiting 5.5 months. I had the bills paid, the crew's been paid, the material's been paid. I forgot all about it, to be quite honest, other than the fact that I look at it every day. And I start talking to people around our industry a lot. I talk to, younger people that are owners that reach out and say, hey, Chuck, you're an old man now. Tell me about what you would do in this situation. And I always tell people, don't celebrate until you get to a certain point where you can actually be financially stable, because you get these guys that get a hailstorm, they jump out, I'm leaving my company now because that owner's a dumbass and I'm way smarter. So here we go, knock, knock, knock. And you realize quickly, I've got enough resources to put 2 jobs together, basically. That's the amount of credit limit that I've been given with my new startup company with the limited background. And I go out and I celebrate the fact that I signed 30 contingencies, or, I'm calling them deals on social media and whatnot. But the simple fact is, we never see the build videos because I think the majority of them never get to that stage. And I think it's hurting everybody. It's hurting the homeowners. It's hurting the small businesses who are, basically left holding that bag, waiting and waiting and waiting and having to go through that process. So do you think that this is going to improve based on the things that we're going to have to go through? Like kind of one of those, you have to take your licks a little bit and then you get to the other side and you realize life is actually much better after the fact than it was? Or do you think this is going to continue to spiral down to the point where eventually it just becomes a retail market again and claims are basically paid to the homeowner at a fraction of what they, what they could be or what they were? What do you think is going to happen with that?
Well, I'm a winner, and I think a slugger's always got a slugger chance, right? In a fight, and I'll win a fight, no matter what in this life. But at the same time, just like, spiritually, and, I believe with my own faith, things in this world, whether it's our government and the entities that they run, which we all know the insurance carriers are so intertwined with our government, with lawmakers, with lobbyists. And it's not to be better for us as a consumer. It's just not. They are all about making money the most of. They made record windfalls during COVID, during all the shittiest times of our American existence. And it's by design. The false sense of trust that the insurance carriers marketed, all that, you're in good hands, all that was all by design to get us to this point, to be so consumed and intertwined with this web that is the insurance world. Everything's insured. You have to have insurance. You can't own anything without it. And you pay your premiums nonstop. And of course, they're making it harder and harder for you to collect when a said loss happens. I think just like in our government and within our country and with our world, it's going to get worse before it gets better, before we see, I believe, major change. But by the same token, I do believe that it might be good for us. It might be good that a lot of these guys get off their high horses and it's all about, their flash and how much they can fake sell. And yeah, like, you said, not ever build. And that's why, like, I'm not afraid to roof or to lead a sales team in DFW like I'm doing now as another addition of what I already do. It's just a huge blessing that I get to do this. So many people are like, oh, I won't sell DFW. It's a so oversaturated market.
I mean,
I'm like, really? You won't sell? I hate that mentality. When in reality, I love the market. For one, it's a high value, high target, saturated area. Roofs to like an ocean till you can't see any further. You're going to see a roof, and yeah, it's oversaturated with roofers as far as LLCs and guys out there door knocking or whatever. But so many, it's oversaturated with very surface level education process. They don't have the back end support. They can't fulfill. They can go sell 100, but they can't build 10. They don't know how to get to the recovered depreciation because so many don't even. And this gets me, I just made a video on this because it just pisses me off when I see it. 9 out of 10 guys, I would say, do not sit down with the policyholder and have that conversation on the phone while they're filing that claim or opening it. They think they're filing it. They're truly just opening it, which is a kind of a half-assed way of doing it. And they're not having that conversation, which when I was the sales guy, that was my it, because being on speaker, like I'm setting, and it was before I even knew what I was doing. What I know now, the big important reason of having that phone call and it being on speaker and you following, you guiding your policy holder, coaching them beforehand, letting them know what questions and the facts of what they need to answer with, and no more, no less. And the importance of that is setting the reserves as early as possible. That's because, again, the insurance, and this is what drags out so many damn claims. The insurance doesn't have to inspect anything that was never reported. So most of the time we got 9 out of 10 guys going out there. Yeah, Mr. Johnson, Miss Johnson, just call me whenever you file the claim, and they tell you when the adjuster appointment is. That's what most are doing. Most are
Absolutely.
doing. And so they get all pissed off and wonder why this guy wrote a repair. When I showed him the gutters, I showed him the windows, I showed him the fence, but that didn't come up in the report. Why? Because he didn't have to. It was never reported. You may have said, "Hey, well, what about these windows? What about the beads over here? They're broken." He may have pretended photo, but it never made it because they didn't have to. And when you finally get someone involved, maybe 3 adjusters later, and you finally get someone involved, or you send in a supplement for everything, now it's being reported. Now it's gone up to a different a chain of command. Instead of just doing the work in the front end. That's what I always, and I coach our guys to do as well. And I get it. When it's crazy and you're busy, you can't do them all. I understand that, and I get that. But if you're focusing on being very intentional, you're able to let the carrier know from the very get-go. We're talking about the roof, the gutters. I went inside the attic. I saw that the decking is out of code. And I do know that in this area, definitely, code is very important when it comes to decking, nailable surface, gutters, fence, windows, everything that you think you're going to probably supplement later, do it now. Not only does it set you up for success for your first ACV check, usually a sales guy is going to get paid on that, right? Why wouldn't you want that to be as big as possible by front loading the claim? On top of that, even more, but it's so very important to set the rest of your team up inside. That's your support staff. If you are so lucky to have that, it sets them up for success. So they're not doing your damn job, and going out there and having to take a photo or send a project manager to go take a single photo for something. Or all this supplementing that all these other supplement companies are around because of lazy bastards that refuse to do the work on the front end. Supplementing, yes, it's a necessary, evil that we have to do, or it's not evil. Sometimes it's just necessary because you can't always see everything. But I'd argue that most 80, 90+% don't even get in the attic. I had a buddy call me the other day. He works for A. Fricker here in Tulsa, good friends of mine. And he was just saying, "Man, I saw your video." And he's like, "It's so funny. You're right." He's like, I was like the 3rd or 4th roofer to come onto this inspection. And he said, I asked, "Hey, can I get in the attic?" And they signed with him only
Right
because
there,
of
yeah.
that. They're like, "You're the only one that asked to get in the attic." And they're like, "Why do you need to get in the attic?" He's like, "Well, for one, I got to make sure your decking's up to code, so the insurance will, pay for that. That's a nailable surface. I need to make sure that your condensation lines aren't nailed too close to that decking. That could cause some very expensive problems down the road. As well as I'm going to make sure, where your HVAC, where your hot water heater connection is, all of these things, and get photos." Well, that just blew them away. And just again, we talk about in anything, whether it's sales or any other type of process or relationship, it's, setting yourself apart from everyone else. And that's not really that hard to do in this industry, unfortunately. And that's what's led us here. And there's no excuse for it anymore. Back in the day when there were guys, well, hell, working with roofing companies, there would be owners and even sales managers that would not even teach me how to estimate, how to do certain things, because they didn't want you to know too much about the business because they were afraid you're going to run off and go do your own damn thing. Rightfully so, but also that mindset is not one of abundance and that doesn't grow and you can't scale that. So now education's out there. And again, you can YouTube it. I've learned so much just from the reels that are free, let alone going and paying for it. And I don't mind going and paying for education to make me, a sharper tool for everyone out there. Because again, like we talk about, this is not my job. This is my life, and that's why I attack it from so many different angles. Because I want to help, I want to be useful, and do have this time in. And I have so many other smart friends that I can just,
Yeah, what a wonderful thing, right?
Yeah, and it makes us so dangerous for the right reasons. And it's like being a warrior in a garden. Just you got all these weapons, and it's for the protection of the of the little folk.
Absolutely. This is for the little folks indeed. So, Cam, I love what we've got going on here, my friend. You've got a huge background. You've been through this since you were a young man. You've gone, through the ranks of construction, gotten out of it, gotten back into it, gone onto the insurance side, gotten into this other stuff. Now you find yourself once again here at this stage with a new opportunity. And we're just talking about how education is crucial, how we can really help differentiate ourselves in markets. You put yourself into a pretty overflowing market, as we've discussed, and you're now tasked with managing a sales team, differentiating yourself and your team in a very saturated market. And I'd love to hear a little bit about, number one, how the opportunity came about. Number two, we'll kind of dive into, the team and what you've got going on with that, some of the things that you're teaching them and helping them to prepare to go out and dominate. But how did this all come about for you?
Well, great question. I appreciate the opportunity to share that, because it has been a journey. Going from being a roofing sales professional, growing and going through trials and tribulations, more self-inflicted than any other, and bouncing back from it and sticking with this, which is hard to do in this industry. A lot of people just quit, but luckily I've had great mentors throughout it. And Precision, Eric Hunter, Micah Hunter, these folks have been friends of mine for a good part of a decade. And, and I know and have known, some of their top dogs out there for a long time. They're close friends of mine. They're brothers of mine. And so I've gotten to work alongside them when I was a PA, in the dirt, in Hurricane Ida, Hurricane Ian, getting to know these guys closer and closer, and just having so much respect and love. And always, there's a few outfits that I've always told myself, if I ever got back on that side, those would be the folks I'd want to work with and for. And Eric and I have always, messed around with each other. So I was like, hey, Cam, why don't you just come work with us? Your wife would be much happier. You wouldn't have to be all over the country. You'd stay home more. And I, always took that hard. I always, sense of pride that in it, of course, we hold people on pedestals, and of course, it's easy to do with Precision and all their guys that swing for the fences and that have created great legacies for their families, for themselves, for our community. You don't look at Precision and not know that they are excellent at what they do. We do build pretty roofs, and they're roofs that last more than a lifetime. And that's why they're tasked with to doing some of the most special roofs out there on the most meaningful projects, historic, to, everything. They're amazing. And just, what I have found myself throughout, being, especially these past, let's say 2 years working for the law firms, as well as being a PA, I've gotten to see kind of all the ins and outs of a lot of different roofing companies across the nation, all their pain points, as well as I've gotten to know so many of them, their sales guys, the owners, all of them are my friends, they're my brothers and sisters. And I find myself doing more coaching than closing even. And I love that. Like, I love being able to find someone victories. Like, I could sign them. Like, oh yeah, we'll take that claim all day. It's a great claim, but it's actually right now, it's a great claim for you and your policyholder alone. Like, I think you can win this without, engaging us. Like, here, do this and do that, have your client say this or that, email, whatever it may be. And I love that feeling when they come back, Cam, we got it. $500,000, brother. I thank you so much, man. Love you, man. Like that right there. And that they didn't have to go and add another year to it or more money coming out of the policyholder's pocket or claim. I love that. And so this gut, like having a hook in your chest, just pulling you towards something. It's always been empowering other people to fight their own battle. And this urge to do this, and I get again to be surrounded by some of the best sales leaders out there, and pre-litigation and litigation professionals out there. I've learned so much from, and so wanting to do this and add this, as a part of my mix, I was thinking to myself, I do have a lot of value to add. There's a reason why all these people call me, and we find solutions together. It's a pattern, but at the same time, it's like, like I said, I've learned everything from other people. I'm not going to go create a new process. It's been done before. The whole thought of, think outside the box. I don't need to do that. I love my damn box. I just love to pull the things outside of it, inside, make them mine, and then spew that to other people. Like, hey, I found a little cheat code or whatever it is. I want to share that, and so they can duplicate it and add it to their process. So, what better way I could do that with adding to a team that I love and respect and hold, very high esteem, and love everyone there. And it seems like, going and joining, the team that's just won 3 Super Bowls in a row, right? And it seems like the easy thing to do. Oh, Cam, that's easy. Hey, this, what we're doing is a challenge. What we're doing is we're preparing for what's happening already, with, being smarter, being sharper, using whatever tool we can to bring the solution faster. So they see these changes. Precision, what we're all known for, is a specialty. Ludowici, we are the kings of specialty roofing. Nationwide, it's not just we do commercial, we do specialty. No, we live and we breathe it. You see it all over the place. But we all know that's a long sell cycle, right? You're very specialized. You have to know what the hell you're doing. A lot of our guys that are our top producers at Precision, they're like half historians. They know a lot about the building process. They go way back 100+ years. These guys get their education. They can talk circles around historians when it comes to historical societies and all these different requirements. And it's very it's interesting. It's fun, and it's also, man, it's like humbling. Oh, I got so much to learn. So much to learn. So my task here is, hey, we already have tile guys out there that are just devouring it, right? But we want to capture all the other stuff within DFW that so many of these very weak, unfortunate companies are leaving on the ground. We want to make sure that we're injecting the knowledge back into our society of roofing, into our local community. And it's all about these new people that I'm hiring, and the guys that are coming to me that they're veterans there that are wanting to pick up for me as well. They're not dumb. They know there's always more to learn, and they reach out to me, and we work and coach through a bunch of different things. And I'm so humbled to be able to do that, because they pour into me, and that's priceless education that they have. And I keep that very close to my heart. As well as, when I'm hiring people now, I've got 5 new hires. We're very intentional with who we're hiring. That they have to be on the same page of service. You're leading with a servant heart and servant attitude. We're not leading with need, as well as just educating ourselves, doing the work on the front end, so that way we can say we are an expert and stand on that. And it is, to be able to do it with this company, they've already opened the doors and the books to help me be successful. Whatever I need, it's at my disposal, to make sure that we have the best team that's going out after the comps, that are going and taking advantage of so many of the property management firms and HOA management firms that are just in Dallas, Fort Worth alone, are insane. And that's some of my bread and butter. I love those relationships. That's how I get the 7-figure claims and up, is just building those relationships. So yeah, this it's daunting at one point, but in one breath, but then I excel with like what, I got the best team behind me. They believe in me, and then I have the best weapons at my disposal. So, man, I'm already so excited about what we're doing with this new team that I'm building, and the new opportunities and the career paths. I've been at other roofing companies where there was no career path. There was the ceiling, just like any other 9-to-5er. There, everyone's got their ceiling, right?
Yep.
But here there is no ceiling. You want to be the master of comps here, multifamily here. You want to learn and grow and learn about commercial. You can do that here. You want to learn about tile. You can do that here. It's not all just going to be, given right away. You have to earn that and show that you're staying around, because we have people that have been here 8, 10, 12, 15 years inside the office, and all the sales guys. There's a reason why they don't leave. And there's also a reason that they're very tight, closed knit. Like, they don't just go hire everyone. They don't just go pour into everyone. You have to be a culture fit, a family fit. And again, excellence is at the tip of the spear. So that way we can provide a consistent and absolute resolution for these homeowners, and something that they can be proud of, the decision they made. And I'm proud of that.
Yes, I love that. And I love them being proud of their decision. I always tell people that at the end of the day, you know what? You made the best choice. Let me put a yard sign out and tell your neighbors that you're the smartest guy in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And of course, People love to have that reassurance. They love to feel comfortable and confident. And one quick thing I want to touch on, and then we're going to move on to the next topic, because I think we got about 15 or 20 minutes left. Certainly respect you taking the time on Friday to be here. With these new guys that you're bringing in, you've got an established company that's got a reputation for excellence. It's a place where you just said, there is no ceiling. You can come here, you can take advantage of every opportunity that you can provide yourself. You can learn as much as humanly possible. We're not going to hold you down, and we're not going to try to make it so you can't go somewhere else or you can't learn as much as possible. Because I always say, what's worse, teaching someone everything and then having them leave, or not teaching them and having them stay? I feel like the second part kind of sucks myself. So you teach these people, but you get a special one thing over the course of my career of hiring people in sales and training is I've got a very, there's an affinity for a specific mindset, and it's that personal development, that growth, early 20s, someone that maybe doesn't quite understand exactly how amazing the opportunity is, but they do, and go out there and take advantage of it. And I think one of the coolest parts about sales training and cultivating and nurturing people in general is when you get one of those big wins, like you just said, they come back to the office all fired up. Cam, check me out. Tell me about one of those that you've had since you've been in this sales management position, where you've got somebody and you say, you know what, so-and-so is going to be awesome. Maybe they might struggle just a little bit, but you see that there's some passion and they continue to try. They get that breakthrough moment and it changes everything. Do you have any specifics on someone like that you've been able to bring in that now you just look at and say, man, that person is going straight to the top. There's no stopping. And I remember that moment, like, when the light switch flipped.
Well, I'm just over a month in this new role, but I've assembled these folks. And what I have seen in the interview process and in the conversation, our text I can share with you, is the fire in their eyes. In fact, 4 of these guys, all 4 have bachelor's degree. 2 of them are in like construction management. The other is an engineer, and they're young. They're early 20s to early 30s range. But they also know the opportunity that's here, and there's a reason they're here. They also know that there's a ceiling where, they went through their education. They got, some goodness out of it, but there's things lacking that they're seeing out in the market. And these guys are just winners. There's something very consistent about them, about their positivity, about their belief in themselves, their faith that they have spiritually, and physically. These guys take care of themselves. They know what it means to be a healthy lead of the family. Some of them have small kids, and they understand that this is a marathon. This is not a sprint. And so those victories, right? It's like seeing that like they're bought in. Like, and I'm very, just like I set expectations with a policyholder. Doesn't matter if it's a $2 million insurance claim or 20 million. It doesn't matter if they own $500 million worth of real estate. I'm going to talk to them like I'm going to talk to anyone else and set the expectation. Here's all the possibilities that could happen. These are a lot of things we're going to experience. There's going to be some shitty times through this claim, through this education process. You new sales rep. It's going to suck, but we're going to embrace it together. I'm going to be there with you every step of the way, and seeing that, like, and not that I don't see any fear in their eyes. They're just like, yes, give that to me. I'm ready.
Give me that brick wall, baby. I'm about to run through it with no helmet on. I love it.
It's exciting, man. There's Drake is a new guy I'm really excited for. Jeremiah, he's another one. Joshua, man, these young gentlemen they get me excited, because I feel, man, these are my soldiers, these are my men. I gotta get them ready. I gotta get them home, right? Training, we said this in training in the military. The basics and the training get you there. They get you to the fight, and they also get you home. And that's what I want to do. I want to get them home with all their dreams, their aspirations, and all the goals they've ever thought they wanted. I want to help them achieve that, because I know the people, the Jason Quimbys, the Alan Mix, Eric Vickers, the people that have helped me get and achieve the dreams that were all here, and they believed in me. and they gave me the tools to make me dangerous, to make me successful. Ron and Derrico, there's so many great people, all the other roofing owners that I've been a part of, the Dan Walricks, the Tim Browns, everyone you that, this time I'm getting to have with you is so special. It's all making me better to go make other people better. But I will tell you, there was a really cool victory, just bringing my knowledge toolbox to the equation with a seasoned veteran over here at Precision. It's got a really cool claim down in South Texas. And just by a few questions to the policyholder, realized, oh, dang, well, these other, this isn't just a $1 million claim. This is now probably close to two plus, just based off, thinking that these policies, these other big buildings weren't a part of this claim, which in fact they should be. There was already adjuster appointments and all that. They're looking at everything but everything else, right? So it changed, and that having the policyholder right then and there when I came to this inspection, and just for support, and got to add and sprinkle in a little bit of me in there. Now this claim's changed. These solutions for this church are big. It's changing this process for them and giving them a lot of hope. And so just that alone was really special, and getting to hear it from the rep, who is a veteran and is so cool and so humble. It's like, God, thank you so much for coming. It was a full day that we did that. And that was that made my week. That made it all worth it. And to be a part of a team like that, that's so we're ready for you, brother. We've been waiting for you. In fact, where I got these guys, I can't take credit for going and hunting these new hires down. The moment I got on board, I started getting emails and texts from veterans that have been there. Said, Cam, we've been waiting for you. And I've held back on that. I've got a bunch of people that would love to work with us, but I didn't want them to burn out. I don't have the time to train them. I'm always across the nation, doing what we do with a specialty tile, that I don't have time to train them, So they sent them, every one of them, my way. So these guys are already pre-vetted. These guys already see what the veterans Precision are doing, and they're like, I want that. I can do that. I know it's going to suck. I know it's not going to be easy. I've seen their journey, and now I want a piece of that. So that made it much easier for me, that these guys were already bought in. They were already, primed, where I had, just sprinkled a little me on there, and then they're ready to go. And
that's it. Yeah. They just needed that extra little bit of octane that you were bringing to the heat there, and game on, man. Highly combustible, and y'all are about ready to dominate. And I love everything about that. Before we start to wind down, I do have one other thing I want to talk to you about. I've had your contemporaries on the program many times, Jason, Alan, we've had great conversations over the years. And this past year, one of the things that I was able to talk about with Alan Mick was something that I kind of find near and dear to my heart, which is our industry and some of the events that we have. Mm-hmm. And I think that we've gotten to the point where there are so many roofing conferences and events that maybe it got a little watered down at certain points in time. Some of them kind of fell out of favor because of what was happening, and maybe the educational value wasn't what it once was. Well, Alan called me up, I guess maybe late last year, and he mentions that he's going to be doing something with Win the Storm. Mm-hmm. And Win the Storm, to me, was one of those events that I'd gone to a couple times and was like, it kind of played itself out in my book, because, I didn't learn anything. I just kind of went there and hung out and had fun, but that's not what we were trying to accomplish. We were trying to bring something good. So Josie buys this Win the Storm conference and the SVG and everything, and it's going to do this full brand transformation, and it's amazing to watch because now we're in the midst of it, and it's been beautiful. But the conference was one of these things, and I know that you guys had a prominent presence at the conference, your team and everything. I want to kind of get your take on it, because there's been two of them now. The first one, obviously, it was kind of rushed because of the timeline and such. Mm-hmm. The second one, there was an entire year to plan, to get everything together. I went to both of them, and I was completely floored by how amazing it changed. The caliber of people. I don't want to say the caliber of people, but you know what I mean. The activities that were going on at the event were not the same as they were a few years ago. It seemed like there were more people in there that probably would have never been caught dead at that event a couple years ago. And that full transformation for me has just been absolutely incredible to watch. Because honestly, I'd thrown dirt on that thing and I thought it was long gone. To bring it back, to have that part, that prominence with the event, kind of want to get your take on it, Cam. What do you think about how things have transferred, from one to the other? Do you think that this is something that's going to continue to be a trend in our industry where we're going to kind of, tighten it up a little bit, maybe bring some new faces, some fresh perspectives? And, are we going to maybe get past that whole, what do they say? Coke and whores or whatever they call that. I don't know. That I don't want that to be our reputation, but are we getting past that now? Are we starting to come together as a community and make this a wholesome environment once again, as much as possible?
Great question. And I'd love the opportunity to answer that. I believe yes. And, I've been to When the Storms back when it was, the old days. And for me, I always have gotten something out of it because of the people, like the relationships, whether, Matt Mulholland, every folk that I call friend now, David Carroll, so many, started there. And so, but as far as like what it was, that I, wasn't proud, to hear some of the things, and not that I'm above, I've wasted my time too with the wrong people in my circle, and it held me down and brought me down, and it helped me not achieve the things that I'm really capable of. So to see that transformation, and I love Josie to death. He's a person I really care about. And I wouldn't even know him if not for him taking on this huge endeavor, which I'm all about the comeback story. And even though this wasn't his to come back, he didn't put it where it was and what everyone's mind thought it, had become. He wasn't any part of that. But to see what he's been able to do in such a short amount of time, and with a real intention, it's not just a fluff, it's not just a sales tactic, that he truly does want to create actioneers. It's something, a word, he talks about that he maybe have made up. I don't know for sure, but he's the first, person I hear talk about it. And again, that's all about empowering other people, actioneers, people that are going to actually go and create action within our community of not just roofing, but our communities where we can see and help affect change, positive change. And I believe he's done that above and beyond what he promised in such a short amount of time. I believe in him. I believe in When the Storm, as well as others, SRC. I've seen that growth and transformation as well. And, happy to know April Hall and what she's always pushing to provide. And it's to bring the same thing, education, awareness, and help set other people up for success. RoofCon is one I'm freaking excited for too. I love all those guys over there, guys and girls. They do really great things, and they listen. And When the Storm is right there with them, that they've listened, they've heard the challenge, and it's made my life better. These events, I know everyone can talk shit about them. There's something bad you're going to find in everything. And hopefully the bad apples that do still come with that rhetoric or that intention of doing, hopefully the intention that Josie and everyone else that's involved, down to you, down to me, hopefully our intention and what we execute and what we actioneer rubs off, and it's witnessed by the others, and they see that they want a part of that, and they realize, maybe I'm never going to be a part of that unless I get rid of this. Maybe it's that one thing that's holding them down. Maybe that one relationship. Maybe it's the team they're on. Maybe it's them that's the problem. And sometimes you need a bunch of other individuals around you, not to be pointing the finger at you, but to be bringing a lot of things up to light that maybe echo inside of you to where you want more from yourself. I remember being that guy that wanted more for myself, but was really pissed at myself because I was not getting out of my own way. And it wasn't until I did something very hard, and that was saying goodbye to a very big group of friends. I still love them. I care dearly about them, but most of them are still doing the same damn thing that they were doing back when we were still hanging out. And that's just wasting this life. And this life is a fucking gift. I don't care what you believe. You woke up today. Damn, you better be giving thanks. And and be doing your part to get out there and show some love, pour into something that's bigger than you, that it has a ripple effect, a cascading effect of positivity. I do believe that's Win the Storm. I do believe that's RoofCon. I do believe that's SRC and Best of Success. That's one I finally got to go to. I'm not going to this year. I'm not going to Roofing Process this year, which I've always enjoyed that one too. Just because I've got to be at a wedding, which I get to be at a wedding. I don't have to be at there. I get to. So yeah, I think these are great for our community. And I do think they're all turning towards the shift of this isn't just a cash grab. If that's what it is for you, you're going to probably find yourself the exit door really quick, because we're done with it. Just like we're done with a lot of the bullshit that's been happening in our country. We have to take a stand. And sometimes, it's us first actioneers that take those shots. They take the hits on the chin. They get the ridicule, whatever it is that's left over. That's someone else's. But we're still here. We're still in the environment. It's ours to fix. And I do believe we're seeing some amazing changes and progression of our industry. I'm proud. I'm proud of it. Whether it's our friends over at Building Experts Institute, whether it's John Cenac and his buddies over there at NTS and Know Your Craft. There's so much out there, from the Adam Bensmans and Dan Walrichs. So many guys out there and girls out there that are just teaching some amazing things, and they still at it. All those people that are doing it and successful are still at it. They were there before, and they're still here, and they've taken their hits on the chin, and they're learning from it. And just like you, what is this? How many episodes is this? 240?
241, my friend. 241 of these damn things.
That's
Who would
amazing.
have ever guessed? I never supposed there'd be a 2, but here we go. Just keep
congratulations.
Going, right?
Great job. I am the host of Commercial Roofing Radio. I've done a terrible job. Nick Perrette, Alan Mick, they've done a great job of building that up. And it's fucking tough, man. It is. Aside from getting over yourself and imposter syndrome, of course, being a huge one, but the consistency and having the dedication of doing it every damn day, even though you don't want to, even if it is a Friday, because you have to. This is a part of your charge of making this better, because the Chuck Allen wasn't there back in your day, right? There wasn't a podcast or anything.
Thank God there's only one of that guy.
Yeah, because they can see regular guys. We're just regular dumbasses that, hey, we care about something, and it just so happens to be our profession. And man, is it a multi-faceted thing that's it's really cool, and it can be daunting, but with the right people, there's nothing you can't do. And we got some fantastic leaders in this industry. I get to call a lot of them my friend, same as you, and I'm happy to call you friend, brother. Like, we'll be friends forever. Like
we're getting a selfie at RoofCon. I've already decided. No doubt.
Damn right.
No doubt. Okay, so Cam, we're an hour, a little bit over an hour in. I told you I was going to try to keep it around an hour, but I do have something I'd like to unveil here on episode 241 of Keepin It Rio. Right. If it's okay with you, this is going to be a completely new feature, and this is something that I think is going to be amazing. If it's not, just know that I had help, and if something here triggers you and makes you mad, it's not my fault. I don't think it'll make you mad, though. I think we're going to have a good laugh. So my segment that I'm going to bring out now is, I'm just going to go with the generic name. I'm going to call it Fans Mailbag. And let's just say that some of our fans have written in some questions that they'd like to maybe learn a little bit more about Cam Wade, the man, and kind of see what drives this guy. So I've got a couple specifically here that I'd like to ask you that were sent in by the fans. Completely random. These fans are totally random. I don't know. I'll tell you their names, and you may or may not know. I don't know. But Let's go with this first question in the mailbag, ladies and gentlemen. This is fans. I don't even know what we're going to call it. Fans mail. Cam's awesome. Ask him if he has ever been in a band, and if he's been in a band, what was his favorite song to perform? And that is from a random viewer named Jason Q. I'm not sure who Jason Q is, but Jason Q wants to know about your music background and what you got going on there. And I would like to know as well, my friend, as would the millions.
Millions, awesome. Now I'm really scared. Oh, man, Jason Q. I wish I knew who that was. But yeah, I was in a
Uniquely
band.
spelled too,
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's probably really weird. Was there an I in there?
possibly.
Yeah, he's a weirdo. I love him. No, yeah, I've been a musician pretty much my entire life, and was in a band in high school. After high school, talking about, did you ever see this? Roofing was part of, in this industry, part of your plan. Heck no. All I cared, I wanted to be a rock star. I didn't care if I ate bologna sandwiches the rest of my life. That's all I wanted to do, and I did it. I had some really great fun success in Dallas, in Deep Ellum area. We were signed by indie labels and got to play just about every weekend whenever we wanted. And it wasn't really until, my son was born, that 18 years ago, that I was like, I would much rather be a better father than trying to juggle this, because I wasn't doing a very good job. It's tough to do. But my favorite song to play live, that's a tough one. I would say, maybe Happy Apple was one I wrote in high school.
Happy Apple. I love it. That
Yeah.
just sounds like a great jam right there. I mean, you can't be in a bad mood if you're listening to Happy Apple, right? I mean,
Oh yeah, especially I'll tell you all about what that means anyways. But yeah.
like I say, the Apple's happy because he got into something. I'm assuming.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
on top of that one, Metamorphosis. It was a band I was in, Udoka. And it's exactly the song. It's about change. It's about transformation. So that was always one of my favorites to sing, because I would just lose myself, because that song meant so much to me in my transformation. And at that time, being, my early 20s or whatever, which of course that young guy had no clue, what the transformation we would be seeing and experiencing together. And I still talk to that guy, the 15-year-old in me. I still talk to him when we have big victories, when I'm stepping outside of my body. I'm like, this is our life, bro. We did it. We're doing it, man. Like, and music is still that for me. I'm getting to transfer that. My son is a better musician than I am, and that makes me so happy. So yeah, music is still a big part of my life.
I love that. And now I'm gonna have the tune Happy Apple. I'll probably make up my own lyrics for
I'll
it over
send
the
it.
next
I'll
couple
send
of
it
days.
to you, bro.
I'll be jamming that. I did have one more random fan mail bag thing that I pulled out here. And actually, this first guy went a little bit off track with his first submission. There's a gentleman named Alan M. And Alan M, basically, he said, "Why does my mind go straight to a gay joke? LOL." To which I replied, "Alan, we can't have that on Keepin It Rio, buddy. So what are we talking?" So Alan M says, "All the good questions I have are slightly inappropriate. So how about this? Ask Cam, what's his favorite dish to cook?" I guarantee you weren't expecting to answer that question today on Keepin It Rio. What's your favorite dish to cook, Cam? The world needs to know.
Carne guisada.
Yeah, I kind of expected that. There you
Yeah.
go.
And I can cook it like a son of a bitch. Cooking is another huge love and passion of mine. In fact, before I joined the Army, my ex-wife, my son's mom, we're still great friends. She's an amazing human. Wouldn't be here without her. That's for damn sure. I remember sitting on the roof of our house watching the July 4th fireworks going off. And I was, I wanted to join the military when I was much younger, but life happened. I was in a band, and and that went away. But then the hunger to serve was still there, and I would always talk about it. And she's like, I'm tired of hearing about it. You need to get shit or get off the pot. And because it was either I want to go to the Cordon Bleu Institute in Scottsdale, Arizona, and learn how to be a chef, or I want to go to the Army, or go to college, or whatever. And she's like, shit or get off the pot. Make your decision. Quit talking about it. Whatever you do, I got your back, And so I did. I decided, I became a military police officer in the Army, and I got to check that box off, and I'm so proud I did it. And it changed a huge portion of who I am, and that's my no quit. It's the compass that leads me that there's nothing I can't overcome. There's no amount of physical, emotional pain I can't overcome. Let's go. So, I don't know how the hell we got there.
That's tremendous, my man. And I have one quick thing I need to do, and then we're going to wind this bad boy up. My thing I need to do is I need to give a quick shout out to my sponsors at roofer.com. That's ROOFR. If you're in the roofing industry and you don't use Roofer still, after me harping for like the last 150 episodes about how awesome it is. I have no idea what's wrong with you, but you need to start using Roofer because it is amazing. And I'm working right now on the finalizing the details for our 4th consecutive year of title sponsorship for the podcast with Roofer. Love those guys from the very beginning to the very end, everything in between. It is the ultimate source for your roofing company. So I make up a new slogan for Roofer every single week. And it's funny because they use Powered by Roofer now. And I actually made that up like 3 years ago. So when you see Powered by Roofer on everything, just know this guy right here. But thank you to Roofer. Thank you to everybody who watches Keepin It Rio. And Cam, before we call this a night, I'd love to give you the stage for one final moment here. Anybody that's watching this episode, inspired by what you're kicking out here, want to learn more from you, maybe want to come and work for one of the premier roofing companies in the United States and have an absolute rock star, both past, present, and future, as their leader, as the guy that they get to go run through brick walls for. What are some ways that people can follow, can get a hold of you, and can inquire about potentially making their life better through Cam Wade?
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate that. And anyone that's listening out there, just don't quit. That's the first thing I want to tell you. Don't quit. Don't quit on yourself. Don't quit in this industry. This industry has helped me realize all of my dreams. And that's more importantly to help, the people I care about, to help complete strangers. This industry has afforded me that. So whatever I can do to help that, whether you work on my team or not, my phone number is 682-412-7216. I'm also Facebook, Cam Wade, Instagram, Yak Cam Wade. That's YAK Cam Wade. Just know that I am there for you. You're not alone. That's another huge, thing I believe in, that I want you to know out there. You're not in this alone. 2 is better than 1. None of us were meant to do this by ourselves. So whether it's learning how to fight yourself and overcome that, to surviving, thriving in this industry, give me a shout. I'd love to talk to you.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. When we started this show an hour and 11 minutes ago, I told you episode 241 was going to be number 1 in your hearts. And I think that we've delivered the goods. It's definitely been an awesome honor for me, Cam, to have you on tonight.
Thank you. You too.
We'll do it again sometime down the road. Like I said, you're going to be looking for this crazy out of control dude at RoofCon because I'm coming for you. I'm going to have that selfie screen thing like shined up. So we'll get a picture for the posterity or for whatever that book is that I'm making in my life. And I appreciate you taking the time. If you would stick around just a second after I cut this off and we'll finish our conversation. But ladies and gentlemen, until next week, it's always an honor for me to talk to you guys. I know that I don't have to, have a huge audience and it's just on the internet and I could do it. But the people that reach out and watch this podcast mean the world to me. And it's why I've been doing it 241 consecutive weeks. So thank you guys for that. And as always, we shine you out with the keep on keeping it Rio, cheesiest tagline in the history of the world. We'll see you guys next Thursday. Cam, thank you for being here.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
We will see you all next week. Take care.
We're Roofer. We know that managing a roofing business can be chaotic, so we created a single platform with all the tools you need to easily run your roofing business. Stop switching between multiple different softwares and experience streamlined operations from lead to payments in hours instead of days. Visit roofr.com to get started.